Second, I'd like to thank all the alumni for making the effort to come out here. We really appreciate it. It's good to see you guys out here. Hopefully we'll be continuing in contact with you guys, and hopefully maybe even better the relations that we have with you guys. Well, you guys all know what tonight is. It's going to be a venue for some of our distinguished alumni to come back and talk about the success that they've had in life and in their careers. And actives, pledges, hope you guys all just keep an open ear, listen to what these guys have to say. These guys are out in the real world. This is the next step for us. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up James to introduce our speakers.
Hi everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. The purpose of tonight was for all of us, actives and pledges, first year, second year, all the way to senior year, and also for our alumni who stopped by too. A lot of us, especially my class, lots of boys graduating this year. We're graduating. Sometimes we don't have any help. We wish we had some help experience. Some guys who are out there who made it in the real world, and we can get some experience from these guys. Just drop some knowledge on us. So I'm going to introduce today 5 distinguished alumni who made it in the world. I'm really happy that they made it here. And first up, we've got Mike Jin. Mike, make your way up. Mike is Associate Vice President of Stan Morgan Dean Witter. And he's class of, what is it, 89? 86, 89. So. Sorry, can't hear you.
Twice. That's all fucked up.
So we have Mike come on up. He's going to talk about his job. He's talking about something he's learned from his experience, and he's going to try to bring it back to what he took away from Gammas. And after all, the speakers are going to have some kind of a discussion panel where we can ask questions and they can give us answers. So Mike, come on up.
Alright, so it's good to come back and see you guys. I've met some of you guys before, so I come by the house every now and then. And basically, first off, James had given me a call about a month ago and told me you guys were thinking about having a career day and wanted to hear about what's going on in the real world and things like that. And I think that was a great idea, because when I went through the frat, we always thought about doing that, and we never really got anything organized. So I think this is the first time that anything like this has happened. So I think you guys should really give a round of applause to James for putting it together. Okay, basically, for the next 10 minutes, there's going to be 3 areas that I'm going to cover. I'm going to talk a little bit about my career in the industry I'm in, and each guy that we have, each alumni that's here tonight has a different career, so you can get a feel of what's going on out there. Then we're going to talk a little bit about professional skills, and then also I'll wrap things up with some of my Gamma experiences and how that's kind of helped me in the real world today. Like James was saying, I am a Associate Vice President at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. I'm a financial advisor, and I've been with Morgan Stanley for about 5 years now. I graduated back in 1990. When I graduated in the business school with the entrepreneurship degree, and at the time my goal was basically to go out and open my own business, and I was into sporting goods, and I wanted to open up a sporting goods store. In 1990, the economy wasn't really that good to go out and start something, so I decided to work for the best company in the industry, which at the time was Nike, and I worked there for about 4 years as a product manager, and I gained a lot of experience. It was a great job. Nike's a great company, very entrepreneurial, a lot of freedom. They let you experiment and try different things to try to succeed. The problem with Nike is they're headquartered up in Oregon, and for me to keep moving up the company, I'd have to go up there and relocate, and that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I like Southern California a little too much. So I decided to look into some other businesses. I've always liked the stock market and investments. So I interned for about a summer over at Smith Barney. I had a friend that knew a broker over there, and I interned there part-time, just making cold calls, things like that, just learning a little bit more about the business. I met some guys over at Dean Witter in Pasadena, where I'm originally from, and went in and talked to them, and they actually offered me an internship there, a paid internship. And it was a big step for me, because you're really starting all over. I was getting paid, I think, like, I don't know what it was, like $1,000 a month or something. And that was a big drop from what I was making from Nike. But I figured, I gotta do it. I'm young at the time. I was 24 or something. It was a change, and I felt I needed to make that change to take the next step forward. So I interned for a year and basically just learned the business. And in the brokerage business, it's all cold calling, trying to set up meetings with clients.
Called you a few times.
Kept calling Ken out there. He was out in Detroit. I'm like, hey, you got to open an account at Dean Witter. But what I did, I learned a lot. Just basically all the grunt work, all the stuff that people think the brokerage business investments is really glamorous, and it really isn't, because you've got to do a lot of prospecting in order to build a client base. How many of you guys are interested in investments to start off with? I don't even know who's in finance or who's in the business school here. Okay, yeah. There's a lot of different opportunities in business, and basically investments is one avenue that you can go towards. If you enjoy the stock market, if you enjoy putting together financial plans, helping out individuals, and that's a good field to look towards. Our industry has changed a lot. We're really, you have to understand how the stock market works, and it takes time. So when you get into the business, you go in there and you learn about how companies operate, and look at their financial statements, things like that. And that kind of gives you an indication of whether this company is going to be successful or not, and whether people would want to invest in the company. Technology has been the hot sector, and not lately. For some of these investors, no. But that's part of our job, is to kind of help advise people, because they entrust us with their money. And you understand, when people give you money, they're very particular about things, and they want to make sure that you know what you're talking about. So number one, you have to gain their trust. So in our business, we're out there, we're meeting people, we're networking, and we're gaining people's trust and helping them get to their goals, whether it's retirement, whether they want to save money to buy a house, whatever it is. Those are the investments, are the vehicle we use to get you there. What I'm trying to do now, I've been in the business for about 5 years. I'm looking at a bigger picture. I'd like to get into financial planning, and that's kind of the next step for an investment broker, is to become a financial planner. And what that encompasses is, besides investments, you're also putting together retirement plans. You're also doing some estate planning, insurance planning, and also tax planning for your clients. And that, again, that's, I went back to school and part-time at nights just to learn about those different fields. That's one thing you'll learn when you get out into the real world. You think you graduate, you have a degree, and you're out ready to work, but that's not the case. There's always things changing out in the world, and you have to, in order to be at the top of the game, you just have to go out there, and you have to stay one step ahead of everyone else in order to be competitive. So that's one thing you'll learn when you get out in the real world. So school doesn't start once you graduate. It's an ongoing process. That's basically, for finance guys or investments, that's kind of we're just touching upon what's involved in that. But we're salesmen, and you know, you're not just selling investments, but you have to kind of sell yourself as well, because people like to deal with people that they like and they trust. So that's something that you guys have to remember also out there in the real world is, you know, make sure you're stay focused, or you stay in the right realm of things, and people will like to do business with you. Second area I want to talk about is some professional skills. James has talked about, you know, what kind of skills do you need out there in the real world. And I jotted down a couple of things, and it's going to be different for all of us, and it'll be different for whatever field you get into. But I think in business, you have to be confident in yourself, and you have to believe in yourself, because it's a tough world out there, and you know, once you lose confidence in yourself, your clients will know, your competitors will know, and they'll know that, you know, you don't know what you're doing, or you're lost out there. And when that happens, then, you know, clients don't want to be with you. Your competitors will use that weakness and try to take your clients away from you. So make sure you stay confident, and you believe in yourself. Everything you do, you know, be focused and be confident. Also, you have to be positive out there. People pick up on negativity. If you're negative and you're slacking and things like that, no one wants to do business with someone like that. And negativity just brings everyone down. It's really a team effort out there in the real world. And when you're negative, you know, you just drag your whole team down. So remember that. I personally think also that when you go out there, you should have a personal mission statement. And what a mission statement is, basically, it's what you're trying to achieve, what your goal is, whether it's a goal for the year or 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You should set a goal. You know, last year, or about 2 years ago, my goal was to become an associate vice president, and you know, I had a goal to shoot for, and that keeps me motivated. And I was able to get that this past year, and you know, that makes me feel good. Now my next goal, you know, for 2001, I'm putting together another goal, so that gives me something to shoot for. Because if you don't have something to shoot for, you're going through work and you're just going through the motions, and it's kind of becomes aimless or monotonous. And you know, again, keep yourself motivated by having a personal mission statement. Each one of you guys should have one, even in school. Whether you're a junior, senior, whatever, you should have, you know, an idea of when you want to graduate and what type of jobs you want, or what type of job you want when you're out there. And I think it's also important to be a little entrepreneurial. I mean, that I'm a little biased because that was my major, but entrepreneurship, basically, I think it's important. Whatever you do it when you're working out there. You're doing it for yourself, and you're building yourself. I mean, it's great to go out there and get a job with Deloitte and work for Deloitte and make money for Deloitte, but at the same time, you need to get something out of that too. Whether it's, you know, whether it's just financial rewards, or it's you're building a skill, or you're learning from your job. Make sure whatever you're doing out there, you're pulling something in for yourself out there, because nowadays in the real world, it's, you know, everything is corporate America, but the individual, the mom and pop type of, you know, shops or consultants, things like that, that's when you're working for yourself. You control your own hours, you control who you work with or who you deal with, and that's important, because it's not all about money. I mean, it's important. Money becomes like a scorecard. Someone told me that, you know, you can make all the money in the world, but it's really just a scorecard. The important thing is to make sure you also enjoy what you're doing out there, and a lot of times for you young guys, it's finding that balance to start off with, because we all go out there, we start with no money, and you want to buy all these nice toys and nice homes and things like that, so you sell out a little bit and work for the money, but you get to the point where you got enough saved up, and then you start working for yourself, and make sure you're not in the office at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, because it's not worth it. You've got a whole life to enjoy, so make sure you take advantage of that. And finally, what I want to do is kind of close things out with the Gamma experience. I'm not going to have that many stories to tell. I'll leave it to some of these other guys because they got better stories to talk about. But I went through Gammas. I started in '86, class of '86, '87. I was one of the fortunate ones that graduated in 4 years, so I was out of here by '90. Unlike a lot of my pledge bros who you probably might know some of them. But what I got from Gammas, I had an opportunity to develop my leadership skills. I think that's really important. And a lot of you guys are in the fraternity, and each one of you guys are in here for a different reason. But whatever that reason is, make sure you get the most out of it. I was pledge class president, and I actually became president my senior year of the fraternity, and that helped me develop my leadership skills. It helped me work with people and gain their trust and understand their needs and things like that. And that's stuff I still use today. I go, and when I meet with people, I understand it's a two-way game. We need to find out what your needs are, we need to meet those goals, and at the same time there's things that I'm trying to achieve, and they help us too. So it goes around that way. Also, the friends you make right now, these guys will be your lifelong friends, I swear, because the stuff you guys go through together with your pledge class and as a fraternity, you'll never be able to duplicate that in the real world. It just doesn't happen. You guys will not be as tight with other people, the things you guys went through. That's really the best experience I had. Two of my best friends are still Gammas, the guys I met in the fraternity, and we hang out and we do different things together, all the time. We go to Kings games and things like that, and that's something that you guys should definitely treasure. I mean, you guys don't really think about it now, but it just, when you get out in the real world, you don't really meet as many people or get as close to people as you do during this period of time. So take advantage of that and make sure you guys stay tight, because that's to me, that's really important. And also enjoy your college life. The real world, it sucks out there. We talk about it all the time. In college, there's not too much you really have to worry about. Just pass your grades and show up to class and things like that. In the real world, you've got mortgages to pay and car payments. If you get married, you got kids and responsibilities and things like that. And, it's tough. Those are all good things, and those are all things that you guys should experience. But enjoy the college life now. Make sure you guys, go to class and do what you need to do to get out of here. Some of you guys like to stick around and things like that. I don't know who's paying your bills, but I don't think your parents are too happy if you're here for 6, 7, 8 years. But enjoy the college experience, because there's nothing like it out in the real world. Even if you end up going to like a graduate school or something, it's not the same, because you don't hang out with these guys, and it's definitely, you can't reproduce it. And finally, some of the things from Gammas, that I've kind of taken on to the real world is taking your chances now while you're young. When you do graduate, statistically, your first job is not going to be the job that you end up doing for the rest of your life. That's just how things are. When you go out in the real world, take a chance, try different things, try different jobs. You don't always have to go for the money because the money will be there, but make sure you choose a career or a job that satisfies what you like. Because no one wants to go to work somewhere where they don't enjoy their job. It just makes your life miserable and you hate it, and it's not worth selling out to. Just when you guys go to your interviews or whatever, make sure you work for people that you like, because that makes your life a lot easier. Make sure you're trying a career that you might be taking a chance with. It might not be exactly what you thought it would be coming out of school, but again, opportunities arise where some good could come out of it. A lot of people in the past couple of years jumped on that .com craze, and if you hooked up with the right company, you made a lot of money. And you sacrificed at the beginning, and you got paid zero, but if your company hit it, then you're sitting pretty right now. And a lot of guys went to the .coms and ended with zero because they went out of business or whatever. But as an entrepreneur, take that risk while you're young, because there's no other time you can do it. If later in life it becomes more difficult, we talked about when you start settling down and having kids or whatever, families and things like that, it's harder to take the risk because you've got mortgages to worry about and things like that. When you're young, you're out of school, you can still live off your parents, take advantage of that. Your parents aren't going to kick you out of the house, just tell them, hey, I'm working, and you'll be okay. So those are just some of the things I wanted to run through with you guys. Where's James? James is, okay. I guess we'll have a question and answers afterwards, but like I said, it's really nice to meet you guys. I appreciate you guys having me out, and if there's anything I could ever help you guys with, or you have questions, feel free to call me. Thanks.
That's how I hooked up with Steve. He's actually was the treasurer back in the day, so Johnny, if you need help balancing the budget, you can talk to Steve. Graduating class of 1980, I think. If you ever go to any of the SC home games, you always see Steve here, because he's been going to them, I think, for the past, you said, how many years?
About 12 years.
About 12 years, so you haven't missed a game yet. Pretty good.
Yeah, home games.
So Steve, come on down. Everybody, Stephen Dong, Division Manager. Divisional Manager at UPS.
All right, thanks, James. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to come back to the university and try to share some of my experiences with you folks since leaving Gamma's, 20, 21 years ago. That's been a long time, and a lot of things have occurred over the years, but I have, I guess, some stories or some experiences I can share with you about corporate life. Currently, I'm the division manager with United Parcel Service. My responsibilities include the total UPS operations in the southwest San Fernando Valley, from Universal Studios all the way to Glora, Calabasas. So there's about 250 drivers in that area, and about 500 people that report to me, and the 12 managers that I have underneath me. I've been with the company 20 years. I started out from the bottom, entry-level position. While going to school here at the university, I started out over here in our Olympic building facility, unloading trailers, loaded. I was a driver. I mean, my dad had a fit when he spent $40,000 on my education. I went to go drive a brown truck around. But, you know, things have worked out over the years. And, you know, Mike kind of hinted on that. Sometimes things don't, you know, always go as planned, but you need to keep focused. You need to have goals. You need to always look at your values and try to align a career that matches your values. I think you always need to be happy, and you always want to go to work every day, and you want to have to, you know, look forward to another day, because, like Mike said, you know, once you graduate from here, you're out of the sanctuary of your parents, and you're in the real world, and nothing's guaranteed, and you know, you miss those summer vacations, you miss those, you know, spring breaks and things like that, because it's a grind out work schedule, and you need to be prepared for that. And by going to school here and getting the foundation that you need, you can expand that. You can expand that to your careers when you do leave. One of the things that I want to share with you is that once you do leave the university and you get out there in the corporate world, things aren't always, I guess, as they seem here. I mean, being in a corporation, I've gone to our corporate headquarters in Atlanta. I've traveled to Chicago. I've traveled all over the United States. And when I go to these meetings, I'm the only Asian person there. And our corporation employs 331,000 people. We're worldwide, we're global. I've got an opportunity to go to mainland China maybe in October this year as we expand our operations into China. But as one of the senior division managers, when I go to these meetings, like I said, I'm the only Asian person there. And I've gone to places, say in Wisconsin, where I've gone, say in 1985, Hickville. And in the town I was in was Kenosha, Wisconsin. In 1985, the Japanese were taking over the domestic car market. And in 1985 in Kenosha, Wisconsin, there was the American Motors facility where they produced the Pacers.
They know what the AMC is.
Yeah. That was before you guys. Well, they were ugly cars. So I go walking into a bar, and you know, right away they think I'm Japanese, even though I'm Chinese, you know, they have Asian descent. No one waits on me. I sit at the bar like this, waiting for somebody to come. No one waits on me. Finally, my roommate, a white guy, buys me a drink. The guy was there I'm in business with. I walk across the room like this, and cowboy knocks a drink out of my hand. Big old white guy. So I look around and go, oh shit, I better get out of here. But you know, a couple of things like that have happened to me, you know, just in my travels, not just in the Midwest, but it's happened to me in New Mexico. I've gone to New Mexico just 2 years ago. Same kind of experience where they seat you, empty restaurant, they seat you towards the back of the restaurant by the kitchen door. And what you don't realize is that right here on the West Coast, you're with a lot of Asian people, the culture. You can go to the supermarket, you go to Ralph's and buy rice and soy sauce. But when you go back into the Midwest and on the East Coast and even in the Deep South, when I go to Atlanta, you know, they ask me, hey, do Asians, do you celebrate Thanksgiving? I look at them like, what the f*** are you talking about? Thanksgiving. You know? So, you know, the people, when you live out here in the West Coast and you grow up in this environment and you get into the corporate world and you go out and start traveling, you know, you become not a token because, like Mike said, you never sell yourself out. But you know, people will come up to you and just are amazed that, you know, hey, what's your position? What are you doing here? And, you know, that's something that I'd like to share because I think it's important not to lose focus of who you are and where you came from, but also make sure that you go out and be proud of what you've earned, you know, in the community and with your position. And, you know, like I said, right now, being in Los Angeles, it really doesn't make that big of a deal just because of my ethnicity. Once you leave, you know, that's something you need to be well aware of. Other things that, you know, I could share with you are kind of deal with giving back to the community. With United Parcel Service, I've got the opportunity to go back into the community because we service and we're really visible in all the communities we service. Go out and give back. You know, I'm currently a member of the Organization of Chinese Americans, which is a civil rights group that makes sure that all Asian Americans' rights aren't violated. The last dinner I went to, they had, the professor that was incarcerated, Dr. Lee. You guys know about that? He was accused of treason. Yeah, his daughter was there and she spoke. I'm also involved with what UPS calls the Neighbor to Neighbor program, where I focus and try to funnel money into the different community activities. JACCC, which is a Japanese American Children's Center. We sponsor their run every year. Just a lot of different things. Sometime in your careers and in your lifetime, you need to step up and give back to the community. And I think that I'm lucky to be working for a corporation who supports that. And that's how I met James. UPS won the corporate sponsorship award for APAS because we donated some money and we donated some mentors to their program the last 3 years. I've served on their board of directors the last 2 years as far as a mentor program. And you know, I think it's our responsibility to give back when we can to the community and to the people that supported you in these years as you sit out there today. So that's something I'd like to drive home, because sooner or later you'll be in a position, hopefully, where you can come back and support the next couple generations of Gammas. Other than that, you know, I'll be around for the questions and answering session, but those are the few things that I want to share with you. Most of the things that Mike said as far as the Gamma experiences, that's true. You're building, team building, you know, working together as a fraternity. You're building your social skills, your communication skills, going out and, you know, organizing events, going out to the community and rallying the folks to support the different things that you guys are doing. And I understand you guys are sponsoring a scholarship or trying to fund a scholarship. You know, that's something that we never thought about when we were in Gammas. We were just, you know, looking for where the exchange was that weekend, or you know, just seeing what was up. You know, we never thought about anything, you know, concrete. I never thought that I'd ever come back and first hear Gammas had a house, and then find out that, you know, they're doing something positive, and I think that's really great. You know, so my hat goes off to you folks, and you know, hopefully you'll continue to make a difference in the community. Thank you.
Talked about earlier. Basically, I was an engineering major here, 85, got out in 89 because it's just too expensive to go here for in 4 years. So what I did first was I actually got out, worked at Hughes Aircraft, big company. I don't know how many of you guys are engineering majors, but you know, you could learn a lot of stuff at a big company when you first go out there. You know, everyone's talking about .coms and everything, and actually at .coms, I mean, you know, you have a lot of fun, you work really hard, you get paid like crap. You get a lot of stock options, you know, which hopefully could turn into something, but you don't really learn a lot of discipline. And that's what you learn at the bigger companies. And you can actually take this and make a career out of it, because that's actually what I do at the company I work for now. Basically what Digital Infinity is it's me and 3 other guys. We started our own company. We're consultants. And what we do is we help, we work in digital video, digital broadcast, interactive TV, high definition, and data casting. And so we work with a lot of different companies. We'll work with big companies like the Weather Channel, and we work with smaller companies. We'll work with like .coms, because a lot of times a .com will not have an engineering staff when you first start. So what they do is they will contract with us, and we'll build like prototypes and things. Like I'll give as an example, one company that we work with, they work with MP3 Music. And basically what we did was we built a demo for them. And they took that demo and they went to a VC company and they got funding. So they just got funding by VeriSign, right? And what they're going to do now is they're going to continue to use us until they can actually, you know, make their own engineering force. So that's what I do at Digital Infinity. It's basically what a chief architect does is I kind of design the whole system, lay out how, you know, all the pieces work, and then set the groundwork up for developers. So the developers will come in later and they'll start, you know, doing the real work. So I kind of just do the high level stuff. But it's funny because I actually get paid more now doing the high level stuff than when I was a developer. So basically what I did was I started at Hughes Aircraft, stayed there about 8 years, jumped around Hughes Aircraft a lot, ended up at DirecTV before, DirecTV is basically a part of Hughes Aircraft. So I ended up at DirecTV before leaving for my first .com, which was a company called Americast. And what they did was they did a lot of digital video stuff. And there was we're trying to set up a digital video network for the phone companies. That didn't work out too well. Then I went to another .com, which was a company called, well actually no, then I went to IBM. And I think Chris knows that, because I actually met Chris there while I was at IBM. Then I left for another .com at Americast, and then finally just started this company. Eventually, all the people that are tech will probably end up like me. You'll probably become a consultant, because you probably won't want to work for a big company, you know, for the rest of your life all the time. So what I do now is I wake up, I walk 10 feet to my office, because I work from home. So I kind of have the ideal job. I can wear, you know, whatever I want, and half the time I'm in sweats and a t-shirt. The only downside is because we own our own company, we have to constantly go out there and get new work. So we're always trying to, you know, find new work. So a lot of the stuff that Steve talked about, just learning how to socialize, learning how to deal with different personalities. You know, that's a lot of stuff you do with Gammas, right? You have different personalities here. You always have, you know, kind of like a slacker guy. You have, you know, someone that's maybe, well, in our class we didn't really have anybody like this, but we had someone that's, you know, maybe someone studies too much, or you have just different personalities here. So you know, you get to learn how to deal with all
That's
those
a bad thing.
Yeah. You get to learn how to deal with all those people. So you know, when you go out there and you're looking for the next company that you want to work for, you know, you got to go out there and you have to like sell yourself, sell the company, sell what you can do. For us, it's a little easier because we're in a niche market. We're really like doing just digital video. And there's not a lot of people out there that have the expertise that we have. So we bring basically instant expertise. So it's easier for us to sell to certain companies. So we'll go and sell to like the Weather Channel. We just had a deal close with a company called iBlast. They're in Beverly Hills. They do data casting over the high definition TV waves, right? So we're basically doing a lot of the cutting edge stuff. So it's a lot of fun. And like I said, the hours are great. Basically, you get paid by the hour. You get paid a lot of money because there's always downtimes where you don't have work. So the advantage of being a consultant is you pretty much set your own hours. You work from home. You know, you have to interface with other people. But the downside is the work isn't always constant. That's why they pay you, you know, so much by the hour. So basically, you're able to, you know, stockpile this money, maybe give it to Mike, and you know, he can turn it into something. And you know, basically, this is like the best job I've had so far because I'm my own boss. You know? So you know, being your own boss, it's a lot of fun. But like I said, the downside is just finding new work. Also, being your own boss, you can do great stuff with the company, like take company vacations to Hawaii and stuff. But you know, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work. Some of the stuff from Gammas, like I said, that I took away was just dealing with different personalities, being able to organize all these events. You know, it really helps out in the future to be able to go sell yourself, being able to be a lot looser. You know, a lot of times, like at some of the companies we work for, you know, when we were doing some hiring, when I was doing some interviewing to hire people, you know, I wouldn't always look for the A student. What I would look for was maybe the B student that had a little more personality, that could, you know, be more sociable. Because a lot of times those guys ended up working out better with the company because they're actually able to work with other groups of people. When you always have this guy that just all he did was study, you know, he didn't really interact with anybody else. And that really didn't work out too well in big companies where you have different projects. So a lot of times when we hire consultants now, you know, I'll look for some of those traits. And it's you know, that's something that Gammas helps out. Because when I was here, I had to study really hard because engineering's not an easy degree. So it was real nice to have Gammas to just go and socialize and blow off steam, you know, party every weekend. And it was nice to just have that place to go. You know, we didn't have a nice house like you guys do, but you know, it was really nice. And then all the friends I made during Gammas and all the contacts, I mean, I still use them today. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that you could actually, that you take away from being a Gamma. And it's special to be a Gamma. You know, not everybody can get in, and you know, there's some laughter back there. But you know, it's kind of like this instant connection whenever you meet somebody else that is a Gamma. It's like, you know, you go through the same stuff, and you know, you instantly make that association, like, oh, you're a Gamma too, and you know, it's kind of like he's your best friend since, you know, whatever. Right? So that's about all I had to say. I'll stick around for the question and answers too, and talk to the next speaker.
Office in the Los Angeles area and the Torrance office. So class of 1972, I think, undergrad. So for all you health science majors, here's Nolan.
Excuse me, I'm going to take this off. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me back here to the university, because it's been a long time since I've been back here. I was a 72 grad, undergrad here, and then from here I went to dental school in I graduated in 76. So I may know some of your folks. Probably none of you guys though. Anyway, how many of you are biology majors, or what was that? I'll talk to you later. Anyway, how many of you are biology majors or health science majors? Okay, there's a few of you. The rest of you, I'll tell you something. When I was my freshman class in dental school, it was probably the #1 dental school in the country back then. SC is not even rated in top 10 now. That's how far down it's gone. But back in 72, it was rated #1. And it was pretty hard to get into. It was harder than med school, any of the other professional schools. But my freshman class, the average age was 26 years old. And yeah, we had a lot of engineers. When engineering was taking a down circle, we had a lot of engineers in our freshman class. We had a couple of optometrists, about 3 pharmacists in our freshman class. So, you know, you talk about, you know what your career goals are, but it might change even after graduation. So you might think about dentistry too. Let me tell you, when I was an undergrad, I was a biology major, and I thought I was going to go into marine biology until I went to my counselor. I don't know if they still do that. When I was a senior, and I went to go see her, and I was telling her I want to apply for graduate school in marine biology. And she told me, you know, you could get into graduate school, but there's no jobs out there. And so I started to panic as a senior. What am I going to do? And I had a lot of friends that were either pre-med or pre-dent at that time. And so I decided to go into dental school, because what's so hard about drilling a hole in the tooth, right? So that's what I did, and honest truth. So I went into dental school thinking it was going to be a snap. I found out it was pretty hard. It's a hard profession, but you know, it's a very rewarding profession. I mean, I got to work with my hands. You have to be a little smart, but I really like to work with my hands and, you know, essentially help people. I mean, I know that sounds corny, but really, it's a great profession until the managed care came around, and you guys all know about that, right? That really put a damper on our profession, the whole health industry. Whether you're a pharmacist or a doctor or a dentist. It really put a damper on the career, but you know, you could still make it. If you have that entrepreneur spirit, like Mike was talking about, you gotta hustle. You know, I have 2 private practice, no clinics, 2 private offices. One in Gardena and one up here on Wilshire Boulevard, right next to Good Samaritan Hospital. And you know, I work out of 2 offices. I have a staff of maybe about 25 part-time, full-time employees. And that's a lot of mouths to feed. But you know, I couldn't think of any other profession I'd rather be in. I don't know. Let's see, I got out of 76. I worked for a dentist out in Orange County for about 13 months. I made money for him, and I started paying off my student loan. And then I found out that, hey, I wanted other things in life. You know, I wanted a car or whatever. And so I thought I'd strike out on my own, and I went into private practice. Now I know it was a lot easier back in the 70s to have a private practice. It's a lot harder now because of all the managed care that goes on right now. But if you have the gumption, the intestinal fortitude, you can make it. Just work hard. I remember I used to work 6 days a week, and I used to take all emergencies, and that's how I started off. And probably when you get started, you have to do a lot of grunt work, so to speak, and you know, you slowly build up a practice. It's like any other profession. So if you study hard now, you're going to study harder once you're started in your career, and I guarantee that. You know, enjoy your college life, because you think you're studying hard now, wait till the real world. It gets harder. Maybe a different kind of pressure. You don't have to study every night, but you'll be up anyway worrying about things. And it's a different world out there. I'm sure all the alumni could attest to that, and they will tell you that it's a lot different. So enjoy your college life. I guess that's all I have to say, but you know, if you have any specific questions, you could ask me later on, okay? Thank you.
And management consulting.
That's correct.
All right, and here we go.
Thanks. All right, the last guy. So hope you guys can, like, you know, you kind of wake up from your little nap there. Awesome. Just kidding. Sorry. See you guys fucking dozing off and shit. Can you kind of?
I guess you guys just can ask some questions, and whoever can answer it, whatever you can give us.
Shit.
I'll start it off. I've always been kind of interested in networking. Networking as in with people, you know, the people, the Gammas that you meet, especially, you know, with us here, we have the resource here with Gammas, and I've been with you guys. I networked with Mike, and Mike was able to give me you guys' numbers to talk to you guys. Now, what's the balance between that? Sometimes you meet millions and millions of people, and how are you supposed to give someone a call, like a cold call one day and say, hey, you know, why don't you know that I'm in the job, or I need this, or what can I do for you? Where's the give and take? Where's the balance? How would I manage that?
Well, number one, you guys are all Gammas, so we got ties that way. I mean, that's the way I brought some of these guys out. It's because I said, hey, the Gammas are doing this career night, and
They're gonna have beer.
they're gonna have beer. And, you know, these guys wanted to come out because, again, you know, we were all students. We went through everything you guys are going through, and we know, you know, it's a confusing time for you guys. So if we can help you somehow by giving you guys some advice going through school or career advice, you know, we'd love to do that. So you guys have an in that way, and there's a lot of alumni out there, and you guys know them, you guys meet them. Let James know what major you're in, and James could probably find out someone in the Gammas that's in that field. So that's how you start building your network. And when you get out of school, or even in school, you know, join other clubs, meet other people, and like Ken was saying, you know, break out of that comfort zone, because it's easy just to hang out in one small group, but it's a big world out there, and join other organizations. I mean, I met Nolan through JAO, which is the Japanese American Optimist Club, and you know, again, there's about 5 or 6 old gamblers in that club, and I got to know those guys really well, and that's just the first step, is just to get out there and meet people.
And just generally speaking, if you're talking about the cold calls that you mentioned, the big thing for that is establishing rapport. You know, if I'm going to call you up out of the blue and ask for, you know, help getting an interview or something with that company, I'm not going to do that for just some guy on the phone. You got to have some kind of hook. Say, hey, you know, I was a Gamma, or if it's going to be some Trojan alumni or something like that. Or most likely, you're not going to do that unless somebody refers you over, and you're going to call up and say, hey, you know, James told me to give you a call. You might be able to help out. I'm blah blah blah. But the whole point for that is going to be building that rapport and finding, or building a link for that person to help you. He's got to have a reason to help you. And a lot of times it's going to be something that you've done before. You know, the different associations or people you knew before, or clubs.
Whether you guys realize it or not, this is your first opportunity of networking. You know, looking at my business life, really, my stockbroker is a former Gamma. It's not Mike, but he...
Good thing.
Fucking thing! I'm making money. Shit!
What's his name?
Joe Kimura. Anyway, my attorney is a former Gamma, and my CPA is a former Gamma. So, you know, from our college days, you build a network, contacts, relationship, and you go with them.
My little sister.
I don't know if I trust them all the time, but, you know, they still do my work for me.
Yeah, you're going to want to do business with people you can relate to. That's the bottom
trust.
line, and trust, and that's the first step. So just remember, like you said, you know, as he speaks right now, you're building your network just with the clubs you're in or the fraternities you're in, things like
We
that.
should have brought them.
Yeah. There's a book called What They Never Taught You at Harvard Business School. And they just quick, can you not do that? There's a